Okay, so everything finished. So we should have a sim here that, yeah, that goes over our new terrain. So you can see that works. Okay, there's some weird issues here where it sort of goes through our terrain. Maybe we need to change our collision padding. Or maybe you just happen to still load the old terrain for some reason. It just didn't. Let me see if this... Okay, this didn't have set initialize simulation operators on, so that might be why it was sort of floating above it. Maybe it just didn't pick up on it. I'm not sure. Let's have a look at our pyro. So that looks a little bit different because, of course, our widgets also look a little bit different. So we had RNDR rock explode. So our widgets are, of course, a little bit different because, I mean, our terrain changed a little bit. So I mean, still somewhat of a similar setup, but boom. So that, of course, also changed our pyro. So they fly a little bit less high. So then our pyro is also a little bit different. But that's all fine. So I'm going to do the flip simulation again, but this time I'm going to turn down the collision padding probably on my landscape a little bit. I think it maybe just had something to do. Maybe it wasn't properly reloading, initializing the new terrain object. Not sure, but I think that might be the thing. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So I'm gonna do that. I am going to, I think, turn on viscosity again, but I will just turn down max viscosity. I'm just gonna make it a little bit viscous, maybe just like 5 or something. So very subtle. Yeah, so I'm gonna save my flip sim over here again, see what that does. Okay, so finish simulating. So this is, you can see the collision issue is gone. I think it really just did have something to do with the with it not initializing properly. So now it should, it looks fine. As you can see, it's interacting, flowing over these rocks. It's passing through over there a little bit. Maybe you do need to increase the padding a little bit more again. Turns out a little thick. What we could try is either we could decrease the viscosity a little bit more. What we could also maybe try is turn down the particle radius scale. So I'm just going to try that. If that doesn't work, I'm going to turn down the viscosity even more. Then I'm going to... Oh, maybe what we also want to do is maybe we want to just add some general noise in the whole simulation. That might be nice, just a little bit. Right, so let's save this. And then, I mean, if that's fine, I'm just gonna call the flip done for now. By all means, keep working on it. Of course, you do need, if you want the proper result, you're gonna need to really do a higher resolution simulation, because of course our simulation now is not high res enough. But I'll leave that up to you if you want to do that. I'm not gonna do that for the tutorial, because of course I've already finished the scene. Okay, so I'm gonna just run one final sim, and in that I'm gonna change a couple of things. I made the bounding box bigger here. I'm changing the particle radius scale back. I'm going to increase my resolution of my flip simulation, and I'm probably also going to change one thing, in that I want lower viscosity over here. So like 2.5, but I'm going to increase my viscosity over time. So add viscosity, so in a wrangle times equals 1.01 or something, 0.5. So that should increase the viscosity a little bit over time. So it's maybe a little bit too much. So then in that case, yeah, and I'm gonna turn down the viscosity scale over here as well. It's just a multiplier for the entire thing. So then it should still run up over time, but then at least we don't get the weird stacking that we had in the beginning. So that should hopefully help. Okay, I'm going to increase the resolution again. So remember we have the downsample thing on here. I'm going to put it maybe to 2.2. So at least we have a little bit more resolution. Would you press cancel? So I'm going to cache that out. Hopefully it'll be good. And then we'll continue with that simulation. And I might do some additional changes in the meantime. I'm not going to record those. I'll just mention them afterwards. Oh, one more thing while this is caching that I want to point out. There is actually a way to compress particle fluids, but just before someone points that out, I'm intentionally not doing that because we need, because okay, so the fluid compress for particles will sort of throw away all of the points in the inside, but we do need all of those in order to rebuild our volume. So just so you know, that's why we're not using the fluid compress. That's gonna really increase our file size, but I mean we kind of have to in this case. So just so you know. Okay, so it finished. Changed a couple of more things. I increased the drag on the ground. I think I also changed the viscosity a little bit. It took about 35 minutes to simulate. So I increased the friction here. Yeah, that's about it. So I have about 12 million points here, which in all honesty is probably not going to be enough to yield a super good volume. We can have a look at it. As you remember, I pointed out in my final sim I had about 80 million points. Well, we can have a look at what it looks like. So okay, so this is the volume that's being created. Oh yeah, so we have some extra sprays there that might really complicate some of the volume pre-building, but we'll see. Okay, so let's just have a look at what it will look like if we do this. So this is going to generate a super high resolution VDB, so I hope this will build properly. But yeah, I'm just going to highlight this and just see what it's going to do. Or maybe I'm just going to just save it out as a frame. So I'm going to turn off. Yeah, put it to manual. Going to put this one to 2, save frame. This is gonna save 1 frame here. It's probably gonna take a couple of minutes to compute the 1 frame, but let's do it. You can see down in the bottom here the VDB from polygons. Remember, we're just so you see down here in the bottom polygons, which is already, I mean, it's just a box, but it's taking quite a long time. That's because, of course, it's a very big box. So the RAM usage is probably going to be quite high. Just going to wait for this to be finished. Okay, so I cached out a frame, and I changed a couple of things, by the way, because it was absolutely taking forever. So I had to change some things. I was waiting for 40 minutes for 1 frame, and I decided to cancel it. So I downsampled the VDB here a little bit more. So I put it to 0.2. And the main thing was that I forgot to add my downsample to the VDB from particles that's generating the velocity. So that one was really making it a lot heavier. So I did that. And with that, I can cache it out relatively quickly. So if I go to 1 frame, it takes about, I think about 30 seconds for a frame, maybe a little bit less. Oh, so these took even less. So let's just have a look. So here's one. Could probably maybe even downsample it less. Maybe Let's just do it. Leave it like that for now. So it's a little bit lower resolution than you would normally get, but I wanted to not be too heavy for this tutorial thing. I mean, by all means, cache everything out as high resolution as you want on your own machine. If you have enough RAM, then that should be doable. Just keep in mind that it's going to take quite a long time, be quite heavy. So I'm just going to cache this sequence out. It's going to take a little bit. Okay, so it finished caching. I made this topnet here, which I didn't have before. So essentially what I did for this is because tops can sort of compute multiple tasks together like we saw before, and it was just faster to sort of make a prop geometry output in here. Just put this thing in there and then have it run, and it would just do a couple of it will just run a couple of frames at the same time, because I mean it's a caching thing, so it's just a little bit faster to do it like that. So I just linked that up and I ran this thing. So quite simple, but anyway, so we have the whole thing. So I guess now we can have a look to flipbook. So let's just make a flipbook from frame 1 to 170. And let's see. So remember that this is quite a low resolution volume now. So of course it's not gonna look as good as you would regularly if you do it for your final, but you can still have a look at it, see what it looks like. And then we can finally progress to the to the next part. Probably want to change our camera animation as well, because our camera is a little bit close to the whole thing. You see there's a little bit of a jitter when we go through the remesh thing, but it's very minor. It's probably because of the downsample that I did. I mean, in general, it does work quite well, apart from it being super grainy, because of course this is our well, it's quite a low resolution volume. Okay, so you see there's quite a lot of twitching going on when it sort of goes over the ground, but again, for like really good results, you'd need to do a much higher resolution sim. But again, that's gonna take a lot longer. So for this tutorial, I'm just gonna keep it quite low resolution. Probably, I mean, our rocks should probably be a little bit bigger, but I mean, these are all things that you can just do yourself for your own scene. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So let's cancel that. Let's go to a later frame, just have a look. Yeah, it's probably could do with bigger rocks. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like this. So if we look, the volume here is 837 by 130 by 827, which sounds super high res. But for something so spread out that comes so close, it's actually not that much. So for example, I am here in my final production scene. You can see this is what the final volume looks like. You You can see in the viewport it will still look a little bit blocky, but in the render we already get a lot better quality. And if I middle mouse on this, you can see this is double the size that we have for our current volume. So a lot more detail there. But yeah, anyway, that's our effect. And then we can continue with some of the additional elements that we need to make. For example, so this is our scene. So we need to make sort of a smoky shockwave, which is, you don't see it that well, but there's actually a sort of a smoke blast coming out. You can see it here. So there's a smoke blast. We need to do debris. So we have debris here. That's being blasted away. That's being emitted from the rigid bodies. So there's some embers. So we have embers in here. You can see them a little bit here in the center. And then when it falls down, you can see them sort of roll down at the end. And of course, we have this beam, but we're going to do that in the lighting shading part. So let's make those additional elements. Then we can start lighting and shading. And yeah, then we can do the compositing. But in terms of the flip and the rebuilding, yeah, I mean, cache it out at whatever resolution you want. I'm gonna do the cache out the downsampled low resolution one. I just don't want to deal with a super high resolution thing for now for the tutorial. But for your own scene, I mean, make it however high res or low res you want. So yeah, let's head over to the next chapter.